Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. As I mentioned earlier in my introduction video, I left Venezuela when I was 35 years old. That was approximately in year 2000. My son, my youngest son, which was not born in Venezuela, he was born overseas, obviously, because he was born after we left, asked me, Dad, why don't you do a video explaining your point of view of the Venezuelan situation? Here we go. Yeah. Again, this is my personal view, yeah, of how I saw things, yeah. So prior to 1999, yeah, the Venezuela democratic system was mainly based in a two-party system, yeah, and it was the main two parties was Acción Democrática and COPEI. Post 19 eight, when Chavez became president, December 6, 1998, and took power on 1999. The reason that he won was the previous governments, all of them, Acción Democrática and COPEI. Obviously, Venezuela was very corrupt, and people were kind of frustrated. The poverty levels were around 56% for what I know. And yeah, there was mainly the low, medium, and high class society, but mostly 56% of the population was under poverty. And conveniently, maybe that was the way the previous democratic governments wanted to do it. But the situation in Venezuela was, let's say, uh, not as bad. Yeah. Now, once Chavez came into power, and that was from his failed coup attempt in 1992. He became very famous, um, and the way he won by a landslide, I think it was almost 60% of the votes, was because he was promising getting rid of the corruption, a more fair system, getting rid of the poverty, and that resonated a lot with the people. Yeah. So the previous governments pre 99 were mostly, as we know, pro US. Yeah, we had a lot of investment, especially in the oil and gas sector, by American companies. The oil sector was booming. As a matter of fact, the state oil company PDVSA was recognized to be one of the best run um, energy companies in the world. Generated a lot of expertise and a lot of professionals. Now, when Chavez came into power, he tried to separate himself from the U.S. and start doing more alliances with Cuba, Russia, and China. Yeah. One thing that I can tell you is that when Chavez won the elections, the Venezuelan stock market broke record highs. He elected as his Minister of Finance one of the top economies in Venezuela. Everybody saw that as a good signal, indicating that things were really going to change for the good. And as a matter of fact, and he started diverting the revenues from the oil towards social programs and things like that. And he actually, I think he accomplished, reducing a little bit the poverty level in Venezuela due to those social programs. But after he won, and mainly around, towards the end of 1999, just like you can start seeing in the society that division. Yeah. The division was between, you an imperialist, you an oligarch, and we are the Chavismo. As a matter of fact, if you used to go to a local council, to get some papers. You notice the environment that was, they look at you, they look at your face, and they used to say to you, "Are you a imperialist? Are you an oligarch? Are you with Chavez or you not with Chavez?" So it was basically what it was turning out to be in those days was, you see that you were with him or not, and if you were not with him or with the party, then you will suffer the consequences. Yeah. Now, to give you a different perspective, so prior 1999 or 98, the way it worked in Venezuela was obviously by influence. Yeah. The main family powers, the recognized rich people, they basically had a certain level of control over the government. Yeah, obviously because they were rich, and if you knew somebody, then things would have been, way much easier for you to get things done. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we always used to say in Venezuela that you need three good friends. Yeah. Somebody in the army, a lawyer, and a doctor. And that was the way it worked. Yeah, and everybody knew that. Everybody was comfortable with it. Um, people were able to go overseas and study, and the there was economic growth, I would say. Yeah, although there was a lot of poverty, but we had a lot of investments and so on. The new generations, the millennials, the Gen Zs, that obviously they were not around in those days, or they were, you know, you know, growing up maybe in the 5, 6 years old kind of thing. Um, they never saw that. Yeah. And what they see now is only el Chavismo. Yeah. Which in theory at the beginning came into power to solve or to get rid of all those type of situations that we had in previous democratic governments. Through the years, almost 30 years after the Chavismo took over Venezuela, they changed the constitution to make it basically, the president can be there unlimited, and the levels of corruption and the electoral power when the voting came into play, it's amazing. And you can see it on the news where they always win. The ironic thing about the Chavismo was that they came into power to solve those previous issues, but what happened? The greed came into them, to every single one of them. Corruption was at the highest levels. They bankrupt basically the best run oil company in the world, one of the best, which was PDVSA. They bankrupted the refineries, and all the oil facilities went down to the floor, and no maintenance. So Venezuela was producing something in those days prior to 1999, something like 3 million barrels of oil a day. And now they're producing something ridiculous in the amount of, I don't know, 150,000, 300,000 barrels. Yeah. So you can see. Secondly, as they went on, yeah, they start torturing the those people that were against the regime, uh, put them into jail. They start dealing with as you all know, we had the narco president Maduro that he just got a couple months ago extradited to the U.S. And that became extremely bad in Venezuela. As a matter of fact, the last time I went to Venezuela was in 2006, I believe, something like that. And after that, I haven't been there anymore, because what I saw at that time was, forget it. I mean, I'm not coming back. Yeah, you see how things have progressed over the 30 years, where the poverty levels are even worse than the 56% that was prior to Chavez coming into power. It's even worse. People go into the garbage. You can see it on the news. I got friends over there that still tell me how they survive. Basically, the economy is run. The local currency have been devaluated exponentially. You cannot even nowadays. You need to pay in US dollars. Yeah. We see here how they claim at the beginning to be a change, and they have ruined a country which could be, way much better, rich in resources and so on, to turn it into a narco state. Yeah, and that's what we see. We see it on the news. Trump went in and extradited, captured Maduro, and took him away. And the funny part, or the ironic part, is that he left there a few more of them. So people ask me, do you think Randall of Venezuela is going to change? No, it's not going to change. It's going to, you got the old regime with new faces running the country, and they're trying to make some changes. But honestly, I hope the best for the Venezuelan people, but I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. So you will see that the title of my video is the imperialism slash oligarch versus the Chavismo. On one hand, when we live in Venezuela under the imperialism, so-called by the Chavismo, yes, there were corruption, but Venezuela was a place where you can live and have a future. While the Chavismo came into power, promising everybody to be equal and getting rid of those corruption activities, became the worst regime, one of the worst regimes in the world, which basically has destroyed entire families. People have to leave Venezuela. Many professionals left to, name it, US, Canada, Europe. They went all over the place. Even now you see how people are just, with little resources, little money, trying to escape Venezuela, going through all South America into Mexico, crossing the border into US to try to find a better future. Even one of my friends, that he was trying to get out of Venezuela and was trying to find a job because basically he couldn't survive there. He managed eventually, but he had to go from Venezuela, go through Colombia, all the way into Panama, and then into Panama, catch a flight into Spain in order to be able, and he did that already on when he was, 62, 63. Yeah. Obviously, he's surviving better now, but you see how this government and this regime has changed the life of the people for worse. Yeah, some of us are fortunate, yeah, that we left early, and we have been able to enjoy democracies, freedom, learn about other cultures and religions, and respect all that. Yeah. And again, as going back to my original part, that my youngest son that's never been there, is because, when he comments to me about his friends, that the family are, Chavistas, but they are in Canada, I say, well, if they criticize so much, the current systems, why they don't go back to Venezuela and be there if they are supporting so much that the regime? Of course they won't. Yeah, it's the double standard. Yeah, they like to support the regime from outside, but not from inside. Why? Because they're afraid of losing the good things that democracies and good societies like the Canadian, anyone in the world, Europe, brings to your well-being. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. I will do more videos in the future about Venezuela. If please leave your comments and let me know your thoughts. And also, if you like my content, please subscribe. Thanks.